how are you personally dealing with this time? And how are you able to find that inspiration just to share your light in the world in this time?
I don't think any of us have ever gone through this before. This is new to me, and I'm sure others. Some things like the injustice is not new, but the COVID-19 is new. And so you have the two together, and it's a double blow, dealing with all of this. And, you know, there's days that I feel great. Days I have to force myself to say I feel great. And there's a lot of times where I'm mad, I'm angry as heck, I'm sad, and then I'm hopeful. And so with every emotion possible that we all go through being humans, it's so hard because we have the choice to pick our battles, and we have the choice to figure out how do we deal with things, whether we get mad and angry and yell and scream and fight, which I used to do. And I used to do that outside a building, you know, and then I figured out, I don't think they hear me. I think I have to figure out how to get in the building so they can understand what I have to say. And so I flipped the narrative by thinking about how do I change things if I'm not a part of it. I can scream outside the window and get yelled at, you know, or not, or just ignored, or get inside the building and say, I want to be a part of this, but how do we change this? So that takes a lot because, you know, your ego, your pride, what you stand for sometimes, you know, and through these times of, you know, dealing with not being able to be with my family, but yes, now being with my family, even with my parents, it was, you know, months that we made sure we didn't hug, even though I saw them and they wore masks. I mean, we're such a hugging family. And that's just a part of life, is to be able to hug and embrace people and love them. So when you take that away, it's not natural. I mean, some people are not huggers, I know, and it's not natural, but for the human being, humankind, we're not supposed to be separated like this. We're not supposed to not be able to engage and hug and love and, you know, fellowship. And so, yeah, I mean, I go through every emotion possible. And, you know, I have a group of friends that we send prayers to each other every morning, 5:30 a.m. So when I wake up and I turn my phone on, that prayer is sitting there, brand new prayer every day. And then I have a couple of groups of prayer warriors that when things are happening, we need prayer, you know, for each other or for others. We're always praying for other people anyway. We do that. And so the light comes from inside each of us, and it's how we want to turn it on and really try to share that light, because we don't always feel like that. So to answer your question, I mean, with all of these emotions, it's challenging, but we do have that choice to try to do something about it. And I think the more that I help other people, then I forget how bad I feel. So it's oh my God, I need to help this person. I need to pray for this person. Or what can we do to help that person? And I forgot I was not feeling that great, you know.
Can you speak to the power of music and how music can like change and shift our feelings, like if we're down, or just like, obviously just before COVID, it has done that, but right now it seems like it's one of the things that we can just reach to help, you know, shift our mentality.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, me being a co-founder of my foundation, Elevate Oakland, we use music and arts, and we're trying to keep it in the schools, which is one thing that's been cut for a very long time. But it's so interesting because during this time, that is the one tool, the one major tool that everyone has gravitated to, that has saved us. You've got all the DJs coming in and mixing every day, and people who don't DJ are like, let's play some music. I'm gonna go on live and I want to feel good. Anybody with me? You know, oh my God. So it's been pretty interesting that this one thing that has been taken away from us, and that should be a part of our curriculum for kids and growing up and learning and helping them communicate and with their social studies and their math for them, let alone for us as adults, that music is healing. It helps us gravitate together to just like, hey, I see you, how you doing? And you know, these live concerts or whatever we're trying to do, virtual streaming, whatever we can do, we're talking about things, but also music is like, to me, the #1 thing that we've been gravitating to as a part of our healing and process of going through this.
Absolutely. And I'd love to jump in. You were obviously born into music. Like what's your earliest memory of, you know, just being just, you know, sort of like in this trance, just having this feeling and the music just sort of taking over?
That didn't happen till I was 15, but the first time I played, I was 5 years old with my dad. He had a band called the Escovedo Brothers, and he was playing congas. My Uncle Coke was playing timbales, and my Uncle Phil was playing bass. So they were pretty famous in the Bay Area. And so my dad, I remember my mom getting me dressed to go play with my dad. And it was at a club. It was at a ballroom. It was called the Sands Ballroom. And it was right there downtown Oakland. And I remember walking up to the building, and I could hear my dad's music coming out of the window, and it was packed in there. It was packed. And the funny thing is, like, I think I've always loved fashion. So I remember more so getting dressed and what I had on. I remember that as opposed to getting on stage. My dad picks me up. He introduced me, and everyone parted. You know, I was like, oh my God, look at all these people. I mean, I remember that like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
My dad picks me up. He stands me on a stool. And then I don't remember playing, but he said I played great. Well, that's my dad, so that's. But
well, I would not have expected that answer for it to come that late. Is, you know, like I said, knowing that you come from, you know, a musical family, and I know that you had those earlier experiences, but what was it that was so special about the age of 15 that music, like what did music do? What did it do to you?
Well, I mean, I was around my dad. He played every day. He rehearsed and practiced. He had his jam sessions at the house. There was music every single day, no matter, I mean, probably 8 hours a day, there's music. You know, we didn't watch a lot of television. And then with the jam sessions and his band rehearsing in the house, and then people coming over and playing, that was just a part of life. It was an everyday thing. It's just like, you know, people were gathering at the house every day. People were sleeping on the floors. We didn't even know who they were. I mean, I didn't, you know, it was just like an open house. Whoever wanted to come in, that's what it was. But during that time, even though I love music, at the age of 9, my dad said, I see that you're interested in percussion, but I'd love for you to go and learn how to play violin. I'm like, what? Violin? Violin is like, what are you talking about? I'm going to get beat up for playing violin like that. In the hood, you can't walk around with a violin case.
Right.
And it was just like, are you kidding me, Pops? So anyway, I took violin for 5 years. And I still loved music and was involved in music and jammed with bands. And I auditioned for the first time ever at 14 with a band. But I loved being an athlete. I wanted to be an athlete, and my mom's an athlete and such a tomboy, so I get that from her. And her sisters, they had a lot of brothers. I have a lot of uncles, and they had, some of them almost went pro, from pro bowling, basketball, and well, poker back then, gambling. But they were all athletes, and they played everything. I don't care what it was: ping pong, pool, tennis, you know, football, baseball, basketball, whatever. So my mom wanted to do the same thing. And her sisters, it's just like, we're women. And they're like, you can't. Yes, we can. So they started their own teams. And so I was around my mom a lot. because my dad was also traveling, and I wanted to be an athlete. So I was running track early in elementary school. I started running more, I continued to run track. So through just getting to junior high school, I was breaking all the records in schools that hadn't been broken in 20 years. So
Wow.
my goal and my dream was to win a gold medal in the Olympics. So I was training to be in the Olympics. I was a track athlete, sprint runners. I just love, and I played soccer and won medals, trophies for the most goals. I know this is crazy. The most, you're looking
Wow.
at me like, what?
I'm like, wow.
Yeah, so I was fast. You couldn't really catch me. And that being said, I was, again, breaking all these records. I was even running against some of the guys as well. And so I said, I'm going to the Olympics, and that's what I wanted to do. And then at 15, I mean, I had sat in with my dad. I played with some other local bands. But this one show with my dad, his other percussion player got sick, and I begged my dad to play. My mom said, you know, you got to let her play. He didn't want me to, but I did. So I played this show in San Francisco, and it was the first time playing in front of 3,000 people.
Mm.
And my dad, while we were playing, he's on the left side of me. He's playing timbales and I'm playing congas, and he pointed to me to go ahead and take a solo. So I did. And, you know, you're in a place where you have, to me, the most amazing musicians. It was an 18-piece band. Some of the players had come from Santana's band as well. And when you have all this musicianship, you have to, being in that situation at 15, you have to rise to that occasion. And it's either you go for it, and if you fail, at least you failed forward, you know,
Right.
But you got to go for it. And so it forced me, like, I just felt like, oh my God, this is ridiculous, you know? I was so excited, and he's like, play a solo. I'm like, a solo? What? Who gets to play a solo? I started playing, and I closed my eyes, and I started playing, and all the things that I had done thus far in my life at 15 was not a lot, but I love competing. I love winning. It's like, it was all about winning all the time, and I'd do anything to win. Like, I'm gonna push till I can't push anymore. And this was not competing, but it was something that my entire body had gone through physically, every emotion possible. And I felt, when I opened my eyes, I didn't even know where I was. It was so weird. It was like I left my body. I was watching myself play in this room. It was an out-of-body experience. I swear, it was just it was so crazy. It wasn't weird. It was strange because I'd never experienced anything like that kind of emotion. And after I opened my eyes and I hear the roar of the crowd, and I started shaking, and I was crying, like, what's going on, kind of thing. And after the performance, I was backstage with my dad, and we started hugging, and he was crying. I was crying. I'm like, I don't even know what happened. And I said, if this, to me, this was my emotion, if this is what it feels like to be in heaven, whew, I want to do this every day. It was like I had never experienced what heaven, to me, how close I was to God, as if now you know what your gift is. This is your gift, so now this will be your purpose.
It's interesting. I was reading a book about a year ago. It was about this idea that there's an excellence zone, and then there's this genius zone. It's like this zone where you're in alignment with your higher calling in life. You lose track of time. You just are in your purpose.
Yeah, it is. It's almost like there is no time. There's nothing. Like, I don't even know what happened. And it was, you know, to feel that way. This is the other awesome thing about it, is that to feel that way, I wanted to feel like that every single day, because I never experienced, like, I have to do this. I have to. It was like, oh, does anybody else feel like this? Because this is amazing. I don't even know, how do you get there? You let go, you surrender. I mean, this is it. So the blessing of this all is that every time I play, whether it be for one person or for 6 million people on television, it doesn't matter. I still feel the same way as if it's my first time performing. And that keeps me going, because it's just like, how blessed am I to be able to perform, but not even perform, but share my gift that has been given to me with the world, and be proud of that. I mean, I don't know.
What you've been through in your life, especially those hard times, those difficult moments, how have you transformed them into your greatest light?
Yeah, it's from pain to purpose is what it is, from pain to purpose. So it's like I say, you find what your purpose is, it becomes your passion, and it's different, you know. You know, sometimes through that pain, you can, through the pain, sometimes you learn, you grow. Sometimes it's painful. You go through the process, but it's better through pain to discuss it and talk about it, even if through music, being creative, artistically, what you can create, your outlet, find out what that is, and also speaking with people, because through pain and through struggles that all of us go through every single day, everyone has something, everyone has a book, everyone has a story, everyone's voice is important and should be heard. So through the pain, the only way to heal and get through that place of being light or feeling light or bringing light is to talk about it so that you heal. In the process of pain, if you don't express and you hold on to this, what you hold on to then becomes this dark place, and then sooner or later it grows into this disease, this everything that is not of good, and becomes dark, and then you're in a place where you don't know how to get out sometimes. And that becomes depression, shame, hurt, guilt, you know, anger. And so I think trying to be as transparent in this society and where we are now, it's hard to stay private, but in speaking truth, your truth, and being transparent, I think that allows you to people see the honesty and the compassion that you may have, and even sharing your anger, just like, I can't take this anymore. How do I get help? You know, you have to find those ways of doing something that makes you feel happy and feel good. And even if it's a small little something every day, even if it's writing something on your mirror when you know, in your bathroom, like, I am a queen, or I am a king, you know, I am beautiful. I love myself. It's okay. It's not my fault. Whatever it is, and speak to people and just say, I may have to have a discussion with you. I need to get this off of me because I can't live in this way anymore.
Can you talk about the impact of the Bay Area on your art? And just, it seems like it's just a lot of great things have come out of the Bay, from politics to music to just a lot of stuff. But I'm interested to know how that region impacted you coming up, and how it played, or if you can articulate how it's impacted your art.
The Bay, it's interesting because I say the Bay is the best place to be born. I know it's not fair to say that, but it is. It's like one of the best places because, again, musically, all the different genres of music that have come from the Bay. You know, I mean, I've talked about this before, but in growing up, I was young, but old enough to know, and following the Black Panthers and going, what are they standing for? And what is happening? And okay, wait a minute. You know, I didn't understand it all, but then being asked my dad and I, to play for one of their feeding the community, you know, and one of the parking lots at one of their places there in Oakland. on East 14th, I think it was East 14th, and to be asked to play for that at a young age and play for what they were doing. I mean, it's like, I think about, it's mind-boggling, but what I've been able to see and sometimes be a part of has definitely, I guess, helped me to become the person that I am in a way that the Bay Area is a mecca of things and people and foods and smells and tastes and, you know, ethnicity and genres. And I mean, it's all over the place. And and that's only like 10 minutes away from each thing, you know. I used to catch the bus, my brothers and I, from Oakland to right before you get to Berkeley, but it was still Oakland to, you know, go and check out like Sly rehearsing or Tower Power Pointer Sisters. We're like, somebody said they're going to rehearse at the community. We'd get on a bus and we'd get some, we didn't have much money, but we get on the bus, and as soon as we drop off at the bus, there was a liquor store at the corner, not to get alcohol, we were too young, but we would go there and get a 7-Up and Twinkies and sit on the corner of that community center outside listening to live music because it did something to us, you know. And we would just travel throughout the Bay, the people jamming at Berkeley College, you know, and it's like, they're jamming out in the courtyard over there. Let's go play, let's go jam, let's go listen. We were just hopping all over the Bay just to listen to music and politics and what people stood for. And what a great an experience. So it has helped me to become the person that I am, for sure.
I'm gonna tell you something. Like you were one of those types to where when you came up to the scene, you know, we immediately fell in love with you. You know, we thought you were amazing. You know, musically, and then when you hit that big screen, you know, it gave us all, you know, chills and goosebumps. But I'm gonna tell you something. Like, one of the things I've been enjoying a lot is like these long form interviews. You know, because I get a chance to hear so much of, you know, your background and your culture. It's like, man, she is like super, super, super cool. You know, because before it's like you sit with, you know, with Donnie Simpson. I mean, you in and out. You know, and you're in the pocket. You only got certain things you're talking about. You don't get a chance to get that full personality. But now,
Yeah,
you know, just over the last, you know, few years, you know, just hearing these long form interviews, it's just like, wow. And it's just so cool just to go ahead and see those different layers. And yeah, it's like, yeah, the Bay is just different. Like, when did you really realize, you know, in terms of just like, you know, traveling, like how special and unique the Bay is?
I don't think I realized it until I left. You know, you don't know what you have until you're gone or you lose it.
Right.
I wanted to get out of the Bay because I felt like the people that I were hanging around and some of the bands that I was playing with, I just felt like I was growing and I wanted to do more. And everyone was like, we'll just sit here and chill. And I'm like, what? Chill? No, we got to go. And I just had that drive, again, from my mom, just that drive to just go and get it, because no one's going to give it to you. You got to go work for it. So, you know, I think I left home. Well, I started touring with my dad at 15. I went on tour, and the first place we went was Bogota, Colombia. So it was the first time on a plane, and you fly to Bogota, Colombia. That was an experience in itself. Wow. That's actually, if you don't have it, get my book, because the story about that going to Bogota is crazy. But anyway, but leaving Oakland and then coming here to Los Angeles, you know, I just thought I felt that there would be more opportunities for me in Los Angeles because there were more studios, there were more musicians, artists, people recording. Possibly I could do maybe a couple of movies, or not acting, but, you know, playing in the orchestra or whatever. And so I moved to LA, and soon, the day that I got here, you know, I wasn't even unpacking the truck. You know, my friends and I, we started unpacking the truck, and I got called to do sessions. I wasn't even there an hour, and it just like, okay, I think I'm supposed to be here, you know, and I was flying back and forth anyway, but just to be there and know that, you know, you could go down the street and go to the studio and play for artists, you know, who were, you know, needing percussion and, or maybe drums. And I didn't realize, you know, that that was cool. But then later on, you know, all the other artists that were coming out of the Bay, besides my dad's music and Santana and Grateful Dead and Tower and Pointer Sisters, and I mean, it goes on, the list goes on. And then you realize, gosh, I miss home. I miss home. And then you kind of go back and you're like, I really miss home. And gosh, I grew up here. This is so dope. You know, you don't realize it until you're gone, even though you're experiencing and you're growing up and you're becoming an adult, and in a way that, you know, you're learning and growing. And I was fortunate enough to grow with other great artists, them allowing me to do what I knew how to do and learn through that. So, you know, going back home and realizing, God, if it wasn't for my brothers and I, well, first my dad playing music and bringing all kinds of music in the house, from Latin jazz to jazz. And then we loved anyone on Motown. We just grew up trying to emulate and imitate anyone on Motown. And it was just all of those things, you know, being a part of the family. We have huge families, so there were huge gatherings. And I remember playing when I finally went back to Oakland as Sheila E, in a sense, to play the first time as Sheila E. We played with Bill Graham had gotten a show, and we played, I have to tell the story real quick, but we played the Cow Palace in San Francisco. And it was for the Purple Rain tour. And I called Bill and I said, I just have to let you know all the families coming. He's like, oh, how many seats do I have to hold, you know? And I literally gave him a list of 500 seats. He saved a section for our family. Yeah. Wow. So we have a huge family, but it was those kinds of things that I cherish, because it was being around the family and us entertaining all the time. So going on stage was natural for us because we did it at parties every time. It's like, okay, it's time for the Escovedos. Here we go. Da, 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 da. It was like, what? Here we go. Da, da, da. Just, you know, like it was nothing. So, I mean, the Bay is everything. It really is.
I want to touch on your drummer. I'm a former, way back in my younger life, I played like a marching band and in a jazz band. So I always had my eyes on you, amazed at your skill. And you talked about your athleticism or being an athlete. How much has that athleticism, it seems to, and you look very fit, you look like you could probably go still play some ball or soccer or something, but how much does that play into how much does that play into the art form? And one other thing about that, the decision to not become a violinist, how much of that is just in your inner kind of, you knew maybe you're just driven to do what you want to do, or like, do you ever just think about, wow, what if I would have gone down that path? Like the message that sends to young people to kind of follow your passion, you know, it just seems like that's a great lesson there.
Wow, okay, that's a whole bunch of questions. I don't even remember what the first one was.
Well, just the athleticism of your drumming.
Oh, right.
Is there a...
No, it's a lot, actually. It helped me playing drums because growing up watching Billy Cobham, if you don't know who he is, just Google him. Billy Cobham is amazing. So he recorded my dad and I's first record together as father and daughter. And I want to say I was 16 or 17, I don't know. But to watch Billy Cobham play and what he did with 2 kick drum pedals, you know, it's like running. And so since I was a runner, I just thought, well, this should be easy. This is how I think. So I was like, this should be easy. And I got on the drums. I just started going, da, 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 da. And he's like, how'd you know how to do that? I was like, it reminds me of running. So the athleticism of being able to do that and running and playing, you know, and using all your limbs at the same time, to me, it just felt natural. It's not easy.
No.
And when I think about it, to try to break it down, I'm like, oh yeah, no, I don't know. I just got to close my eyes and play because I don't understand what I'm doing, you know? It just kind of happens like that. But definitely being very active, and it takes a lot. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
And, oh, I was going to say, then also the foresight to know when, instead of going down the violinist path, but going the drummer path, like that message or lesson, you like kids, I think, need to know that, follow. I mean, either way, you might have been great. You might have revolutionized the whole violinist path, but what about that lesson in life to follow your passion?
I think, well, it's a mindset. Here's the thing. You really, not everyone feels the same, where you can say, I think I can do this. I think I can do that. Some people, and even for me at times, we have to be pushed to say, you know what, you are great. You can do this. Come on, just try it. Just give it a try. A lot of people are afraid to try. They're afraid to fail. They are afraid. They're fearful. They don't want to look bad. So it's about ego and not, how am I going to look if I do that? So I didn't grow up like that. My mom said, get your butt out there and go and just have fun with it. So we were never really afraid of trying anything. And if we looked crazy doing it, it made us laugh, and we would laugh about, we don't get embarrassed about it. We just do it. And if it's funny, it's funny. But the thing is we always felt, my mom is like this. It's like, hey, how about you trying violin and see if you can do this? And my mom would say, and she's never touched the violin, she would say, I bet you I play violin better than you. She'd just go right into, I'm the best. So that's how we grew up. So if I said I'm going to take violin, I would say I'm going to be great at violin, because I'm just going to be good, because I'm good at everything. She just would tell us that all the time. So it's how you grow up, and a lot of people don't get that opportunity to be influenced by their surroundings. And so you have to kind of do it yourself, or find ways of being encouraged to do that. So for instance, if I would have stayed playing violin, again, I have to do, and the weird thing about it is that my ear, listening music, hearing music, my ear was so quick. If you played one thing for me one time, I would emulate it or duplicate it or play exactly what you played without even reading it. So the problem was my ear was so good that in reading, I just looked at the page like it just looked like black and white, and I didn't pay any attention to it. They would go, and I go, it was like nothing for me. It was so weird. So I got scholarships to play violin as well. And I turned it down because during that time, well, here's what happened. My teacher said to me, Sheila, can you take bar 82? And I said, sure, can you play that for me one time? She says, no, just start at bar 82. And I was like, yeah, can you just, and she said, can you come here for a minute? And she said, do you read music? And I said, no, I don't. She said, okay, you're getting scholarships and you've been playing for 5 years and you can't read. I said, no, but if you play it for me, I'll play right with, I'll play exactly what you play. So that was good and bad, because then, my dad wanted me to play violin so that I was able to possibly play with the symphony, the orchestra, score movies. He wanted something bigger and better. And he didn't tell me this till after, but he wanted something better than, struggling, as he said, being a percussionist and trying to make a living and raise a family being a percussionist. He said, I don't want that for you. So, and following your passion, you don't know until you try things. Because again, I was not trying to be a musician at all. I wanted to be an athlete. However, even in doing that, it helped me musically as well. So you just have to keep trying, because the other thing is you also have to be honest about what you can do. And if there's something you can do and you're good at it, then do it. But some people, they're saying, I'm good at this, and you're really not good. You really have to be.
Self-awareness is a key as well.
It's so hard, because they really believe that this is what I'm supposed to do. And sometimes it's so hard. So I can't speak on it. It's hard. It's balance. Yeah.
Has there been somebody or something in this time that has helped, your light shine, and what has that been like for you?
you know, whether I mean, like I said, every day I wake up, my prayers are there. I say my prayers. I'm praying throughout the day all the time. And especially not when things are just good, but when they're bad is when you really want to pray. And just, you know, I do. I was like, God, I don't even know what to do. I just have to shut it down. So I think there's too much to do in the day to sit down and just watch mindless television. However, if you're getting information, that's different. But there's so much to do. And I think I try to find light in different things. And sometimes the cool thing is it comes unexpectedly. And when it does, it's just like, thank you, God, you knew what I needed right here, right now. Every day is different. And I think even though these are crazy times, and some people are having a really hard time, and especially those, I mean, none of us are working. Well, some people are, but we're not working. And those who have families and need money, you know, now this new thing of people getting evicted. I'm trying to figure out how to help even more, and I don't even know what else to do. I mean, you kind of get overwhelmed with what's happening. Today I found light, this very day today, I found light in the memorial today with John Lewis. And gosh, after the whole thing was over, I felt a glimpse of hope, and I felt like I have to keep moving, and I have to keep trying, and I have to keep praying, and I get emotional, and I have to keep pushing, and I can't give up. And this is just me, not everyone. It's just me, is how I felt. And what Obama said, and what Lewis had been fighting for his whole life, and where we are right now. It's like, this is not a time to be silent at all. This is not a time to give up. This is a time to hold each other accountable. This is a time for us to encourage each other and lift each other up. We are human beings. And I believe, this is my belief, I believe that God created humans. I believe God created all of us human beings. And it's just awful what is happening right now, just because of the color of our skin, even what we believe in, but the color of our skin and the hatred that is here. I've experienced some growing up, and I've been spit on, hair pulled, beat up, all that. And I'm Kiki with the good hair, whoever, you know, just, I get a pass, you know. And my other brothers and sisters and my family, you know, my grandparents born in New Orleans, their birth certificates say Negro. But what color is Negro a color? You know? So all of these things that we're going through, the light that I felt today was what I saw on television. And it made me feel hopeful. And this will get me through for today, maybe for the next couple of days. And then I have to find the next place and where I can find that peace to keep moving on. And sometimes it's through speaking with people, and it's some things that I see that are inspirational. Some people might call me or send me a message and say, you know, keep doing what you're doing. I'm asking people to pray for me. It's not easy. And I continue to pray for people. I ask anyone that needs prayer, no matter what it's for, that you can go on my website, SheilaE.com. I see every single prayer request that comes in, and I don't do a generalized, let me just pray for all these people. I look at every single prayer specifically on what that prayer needs to be for. And I pray for every single person. So I'm here to be a blessing and a light. And my only job that I've had in my whole life is this, and that is to bless one person every single day. And that's it.
I'd like to just also add that the Elevate Oakland event, like that was, you know, an amazing example of using your platform to shine light. And if you can just tell us a little bit about what that event was for, just for the people who didn't see it, and what the vision was. Just break down Elevate Oakland for us.
Yeah, so Elevate Oakland, I'm co-founder with LYNN MABRY, Jason Hoffman, and Yoshi Akiba, who owns Yoshi's nightclub in Oakland, California. And we partnered together. We had two organizations, and we partnered together to make one and continue to help keep music and arts in the schools, in the public schools. The need was so great. Lynn and I had started in foster care, helping the kids there, but then we partnered because we wanted to do something in the Bay Area and help. And right now we have about 14, 15 schools that are waiting for us to help them, and we don't have the funds to do it. It takes a lot. But what we're doing in keeping music and arts in the school, excuse me, it's not just, it's not an after-school program. It's actually happening during the school hours. And we use the local musicians there in the Bay Area to help come and teach the classes, whether it be guitar, drums, piano, hip hop, DJing, choir, whatever it is, the history of what that is, and performance as well. And so we pay the local musicians to come in and do that. And a lot of the times, you know, if there were local musicians that weren't on tour, we would utilize them. And we would do that for every semester. And what we do is we ask the kids, you know, the students, what do you want to learn this semester? And we ask them to choose, because if we bring something to them that they're not really involved in, or they don't feel like they want to learn, it's harder to get their attention. We're in a lot of the schools that are pretty rough in Oakland. Even two of the schools we were using initially were the schools that my mom and dad went to. Someone in Oakland Tech.
Okay. Yeah.
My mom went to Tech.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So we're helping the teach the classes and keeping music and arts in the public schools. So we curated an event called We Stand Together, and I tried to get as many artists from the Bay Area to be a part of it. And we were initially going to stream it live, but a lot of the musicians or artists that were either born in Oakland or lived in Oakland are now, some of them have moved out, or they have places live in two places. So it was easier for me to ask everyone, can you send me, you know, just videotape you landscape and play, and we'll play along with you live, you know? So they didn't know what we were gonna play, the artists themselves. I just said, we'll just play, you know, with you. And we put it together, and it came out last week. So I do wanna say that, what is the date? This Saturday, which is August 1st, actually, yeah. So August 1st, this Saturday, it's coming out. So please go to elevateoakland.org/stand together, or just Elevate Oakland, or anywhere on my social media. Go check out the event and watch all these artists in support of Black Lives Matter, YR Media, and Elevate Oakland. And as we bring awareness to all these things that we're dealing with right now. The school systems, I mean, some of the kids are going to school. I don't know how that's happening, but we know a lot of the kids right now, they need our support more than ever. We don't want them to lack of anything. So we're doing virtual teachings with some of the students, or not some of the students, some of the classes. And that's why we need funding to do that, because we're getting some of the artists, again, sending the classes to the teacher, and the teacher disperses to the kids. The awful thing of some of this is not all the kids have either a phone or a computer and able to see this. So, you know, it's a catch-22 on some of this. So we're doing the best that we can, one student at a time, or one class at a time. And we just thank everyone for their support. And we hope that you get to see the concert, because it will be up and living, so that we continue to raise money for Elevate Oakland, Black Lives Matter, and YR Media.
That's amazing that you're doing that. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's like so phenomenal, right? Now, and we talk about the arts, you know, singing is, you know, definitely probably our favorite and most accessible, you know, art form. But I cannot let you get out of here, Ms. Sheila E, without talking about the experience, the moment, you know, the electricity that you help provide with this film, this cult classic, which hurt my heart to know that it wasn't such a joyous experience for you all the time on the set of Crush Groove.
I knew you.
When I tell you, it's like, man, you're talking about just a moment. When I tell you a moment, I'm talking about, like, you know, just showing a whole different side of your personality. You know, just the jokes, you know, the singing, the rapping, and you know, like I said, I've, you know, man, to hear you, you know, talk about how the experience just wasn't so great, and you weren't, you know, as received by in the little boys club, but you know, just once that thing hit, and I'm pretty sure to this day you constantly hear about it. Like, tell me about like that experience, and was acting ever in your scope of what you want to do, and just what type of impact did Crush Groove have on the life of Sheila E?
So, I mean, some of the artists I had heard of for sure. Most of them I did, you know. And again, we call it this cult, amazing Crush Groove, like we didn't realize what we were doing until later, till
Right.
years later. And all of a sudden, here it is, this amazing movie that all of these artists, there were so many people in that film that are now, you know, mainstream artists. It's crazy. I don't know. I thought about maybe acting. I thought I would try it. Again, it was just one of those things, well, yeah, let me just go audition and try it and see if I can do it. It's just one of those things. So that was my one and only time ever doing a movie. I was very nervous and in acting because I hadn't taken any lessons. I didn't know what it meant. In my mind, I'm thinking, well, if I can, back in the day, when we did television shows, we had to lip sync our videos or our songs, because they didn't have the gear for us to play live, not unless it was like American Music Awards or something like that. So, you know, if you're acting and you're, you know, acting and shooting your videos, and I thought, well, it should be the same thing, I think. I don't know, except that I'm speaking about stuff that, you know, someone else has written. That was the key right there, because now I didn't write it, so now I have to remember what someone else wrote. It was easy for me to remember when I'm writing my own music. It's no big deal. But then to remember what someone else has written, I'm going, wait, how do I apply this to me so that I do remember? So that was interesting. And I think, again, it was at a time where I just thought that I would try, but it was good timing and bad timing. I was so tired. I had been out on tour a year and a half straight. I never went home. And I was so tired, and it came right at the end of the Purple Rain tour, and I was exhausted. So I think it was a lot of pressure that, you know, again, I was put in that position. I had to rise the occasion. I made it happen. It was interesting to be a part of a film, because you know, you think of something like, oh, this is on my bucket list. Maybe I'll do it one day. So that it was an experience, all right. And actually, I do want to do some acting. So we'll see. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'm gonna watch the movie tonight. I do have the DVD.